This is TWiT.
Big changes in the air for traditional cable internet companies. And a lot of people are saying, including myself, it's about time. Apparently 5G is the reason why. So 5G finally having its moment. Joining us to talk about a big paradigm shift that seems to be happening for internet in the home is Jared Newman from Fast Company. Welcome to the show, Jared.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Important story because, man, the story for years has been about how a few select companies in all sorts of markets around the country dominate when it comes to home internet. And so as a result, speeds in the US are slower than maybe they are in other parts of the world. Prices are higher, all this kind of stuff. So talk a little bit, first of all, before we kind of get into the newsy part of this, what we've all endured so far. How have legacy cable companies like Comcast, like Charter, how have they been able to thrive so much and offer so little in the past however many years?
Yeah, well, cable internet is expensive to build out. It's not easy. And, wiring up everybody's homes, that is a challenge. But at the same time, the big cable companies have also clearly been mindful not to step on each other's toes. They like having these regional monopolies or duopolies, and they've lobbied to hinder competition from municipal broadband or rules that might make it easier for other companies to come in. So they've done a pretty good job shutting out competition on top of just having built out these networks. And so you know how it goes. The company wants to raise prices or implement data caps. Oftentimes, there's not that much you can do. There was a report a couple of years ago. Most Americans have only one choice of high-speed broadband. Maybe the other choice is like DSL or something like that if you're lucky. And it's just a bad situation all around. And speeds are okay. Speeds have gotten pretty good, but it's kind of like the speeds have gone up, but the price has gone up, and you don't really have much choice over that. They've really pushed gigabit internet speeds, whether you need them or not, or something close to that. And so if you want a low-cost option, it's just not even there.
Yeah, totally. And it really seems like there are these alternative methods that are popping up, satellite, and of course, what we're going to be talking about here, 5G. Comcast and Charter showing their first ever declines in the internet business, which is incredibly notable. What are they sharing as the big reason behind those declines? How are they talking about this?
Yeah, so Comcast is basically flat. I think Charter may have declined a little bit. And, they cite a wide range of factors, the end of the pandemic, all this stuff. But you look at the Comcast earnings call, and they do sort of begrudgingly admit that what they call fixed wireless broadband has been a factor. Increased competition was what they actually said. Brian Roberts, the CEO of Comcast, calling it I put this here, temporary opportunity targeted at value-oriented customers, which of course is the same thing that they said about cord cutting. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, right. See how that pans out for them. So then, who are the companies that are stand to benefit from this? It seems, and this is exactly what you wrote about. Verizon, T-Mobile, both offering in-home internet, and 5G kind of behind this. So. First of all, how prevalent is this? Because I haven't been in the market to look for replacement options for my own home internet. I also probably have different needs compared to the average user. But how widespread is this 5G offering here in the U.S. for people powering their home's internet?
It's pretty early days. I think it's somewhere around. Look it up. At T-Mobile was maybe in the million customer range, and Verizon less than that. So it's early, and they really only have just started kind of ramping up the marketing. T-Mobile had a Super Bowl ad earlier this year. But until this year, they were just sort of building it out. You couldn't really get it. They've only recently just started expanding it to more markets and talking about it more. So it's not super prevalent yet, but I think you're going to start hearing about it more. And in terms of what it offers, it's cheaper. T-Mobile and Verizon are both charging $50 a month. Verizon, even if you're a Verizon wireless subscriber, you can bundle for $25 a month extra. And so you have Spectrum $75 a month, which they charge everywhere, and Comcast is often, I think, without a promo, it's like $99 a month for internet. So it's just cheaper. Maybe it's not quite as fast, but it's a lot cheaper, especially over time.
Yeah, the not quite as fast is one aspect that I think is interesting, right? Because what we've seen with companies like Comcast and Charter, we've seen them leaning into is, yeah, but we can run fiber to your home, or we can, offer you these insane speeds. And you kind of touch on this a little bit in your article, that like the everyday user probably doesn't benefit a whole lot from that. Like, how many everyday users are downloading, 4K video streams simultaneously, throughout their home? Not that many. So I don't know. Like, I guess that kind of diminishes a little bit what I have thought is a core kind of competency or core value of the cable internet companies, which is this high speed. Not everybody needs that. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, to your point, even if you were downloading 5K video streams, that's like 125 megabits per second. And so, T-Mobile's maximum speeds do meet that. You would need something like 40 Netflix streams at 4K, which you can't even get. You need multiple Netflix subscriptions. It really is overkill. And it's funny because the cable companies, their marketing is sort of, it's a little sleazy to me. They make it seem, you look at their pages where they advertise gigabit internet, and they're like, well, if you need to multitask, you really need gigabit. And it's like, no, that's not even close. So again, it's kind of like a matter of, if you can come in with something that's good enough and it's way cheaper, as long as you can get over like whatever mental hurdle the cable companies have created about needing high speed, I think it could be good enough.
Yeah. So then, okay, so it's cheaper. What are how comparable are the speeds to like the standard offering that most customers are getting through their cable internet? I don't know if that's 100 megabits down. It's probably less than that actually nationwide, unfortunately. But comparatively speaking, in these markets that are offering this 5G home internet, what are those customers looking at? Is there any difference in like things like latency and like other downsides that is the trade-off there?
Yeah, I mean, you have to be somewhat realistic about this. I think T-Mobile advertises speeds up to 182 megabits per second, and Verizon is maybe there's been some tests showing up to 300 megabits per second. So, it's not fiber. But like we were saying, it's good enough in terms of reliability. I think that is a bit of a question mark, and latency. If you're trying to do online gaming, maybe it isn't going to be for you. But again, it's like there's so many people that don't need all that. I think the challenge is going to be, can they expand the service without sort of adversely affecting, keep in mind, not just other home internet subscribers, but it's the same airwaves as mobile, and mobile subscribers do pay more. Those are the lucrative customers. So you don't want to ruin the experience for them. But I think there's room, and T-Mobile is saying that they can hit 7 to 8 million customers in the next 3 years or something like that. So assuming that they're not lying, I think they probably have a way where they can make it work for everybody and not have it be god awful in terms of experience.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I hadn't thought about that. Sharing the bandwidth, sharing the airwaves or the frequencies with mobile users is a really big kind of question mark as far as how that might actually impact things. But what this does is this, and again, you point this out in your article, this increases competition. Which competition, as we know, is very good for the consumer. So cable operators have to imagine, as this becomes more and more prevalent, as they start to see their bottom line kind of shrinking as a result, they're going to have to stay competitive with this in order to keep up and keep people over. What if you had to guess, is that lower prices? It's probably not faster speeds at this point because they're already offering gigabit internet. But it's probably just lower prices, right? Or are there other ways that they can incentivize?
Yeah, the thing to keep in mind right now is like what Comcast has said is, so far at least, they're not seeing people abandon their service for these newer offerings. But it's new customers, and that's been the growth story for cable companies all these years. TV subscriptions are plummeting because cord cutting is a huge thing, and they've kind of given up on retaining TV subscribers. And they're saying, well, look, as long as we're growing internet, it's going to be fine. but at least as of last quarter, they're not growing internet anymore. So they're going to have to do more to earn those new customers than they had been. I think that could be, we may see a return to some lower cost options that they had kind of gotten away from, or they may get more aggressive in offering promotions, deeper promotional rates just to get people in the door. I'm kind of hoping that they take another look at data caps, which at least, especially for wired internet, is technically unnecessary and is just a revenue opportunity. So I'm hoping that they take a fresh look at that and realize that that's probably their biggest competitive advantage. Whether they actually do, we'll have to see.
Yeah. And then finally, I'm kind of left with this thought that 5G as, a connectivity standard, the last, where are we at now? 2 or 3 years has been, the kind of messaging around it is like, this is the next big thing. You want your phones to be with 5G. And now, of course, obviously, you can get 5G in the home and it's going to be, offer you better prices, do all these things. Kind of feels like maybe 5G is finally coming into its own, or at least finally living up to, in certain aspects of technology, anyways, its potential. And I guess that's good for 5G going forward. But we've got a lot to look forward to. How do you feel about the potential of 5G and what this means for the technology? Yeah,
I think we all sort of knew, no matter what the carrier said,
eventually,
that the use cases on your phone, like you already, like 4G was fine. You didn't need faster internet to stream Netflix or what have you. And then they pushed these things like AI and edge computing and VR and all that stuff is like kind of murky, and it's unclear if anybody wants it and what it's going to be. And as obviously all that stuff just ended up being a lot farther out or may not even materialize at all. And meanwhile, you have this thing that's just easy money. You have excess capacity and demand, right? Like it's not a demand problem. Nobody's sitting there being like, oh, I'm totally happy with cable internet. Maybe some people, but like, I think we're all looking for more competition. And so, I think the challenge now is not finding people to sign up. It's meeting the demand for it.
Yes, indeed. Well, I really appreciate you hopping on with us today to tell to give the background around this story, and that we can point more eyeballs to your story on Fast Company. Jared Newman, of course, writes for Fast Company. If people want to follow you online, where can they find you, Jared?
JaredNewman.com. I got links to. I write a weekly cord cutting newsletter. So if you're interested in this kind of stuff and ways to save money, you can visit cordcutterweekly.com as well and sign up for that newsletter. I really appreciate that.
Right on. All right, everybody, check it out. And again, thank you, Jared. And we'll talk with you soon. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Jason. Appreciate it.